Hey guys, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's simply the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor by Spotify has everything you need all in one place. So let me explain. Now, Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your own cell phone or your own computer. Now, I've been using and loving Anchor by Spotify for 2 years now. And don't forget that Anchor will go ahead and distribute your podcast on so many listening platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and so many, many more. Now, I think it's simply everything you need to make your own podcast, all in one place. And don't forget, Anchor is totally free. So why don't you go ahead and download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I can't wait to hear all of your podcasts.
Hey everyone, welcome back to all my listeners. Now I hope you're all having a great day so far. I know I am. And if it's your first time finding me, thanks so much and welcome. This is episode number 9 of my 7th season. Today is Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022. My name is Sonal Patel, and this is the Paint the Medical Picture podcast series. Now, I wanted to thank you all for your continued loyal listening over 113 episodes. I really could not continue making my little podcast without all of you. Now, I've been breaking into the top 50 US charts of Apple Podcasts every now and again, and I'm having new countries like Ireland tune in, and I've hit their top 50 charts as well. I really am humbled and ever so grateful. So I thought I'd try something a little different today. No newsworthy, no trusty tip, just a bonus episode. Something fun I thought I'd try. I hope you all cozy up and enjoy. Inspiration strikes when you least expect it. I did get that chance to see Halloween Ends this past weekend. And it's dark out there as I record, so I switch things up and serve you all this bonus Boo episode. I'm remembering my very favorite scary stories book from my childhood called Tales for the Midnight Hour. It's full of short stories that kept me wanting to read more. One story is infamous and has changed over time depending on the author. But my favorite author is J.B. Stamper, and it's the most sinister of them all, in my opinion. It's called The Black Velvet Ribbon, and it goes something like this. There was one room in the house that the old man always kept locked. Things had not changed in that room for years. A soft layer of dust had settled on the furniture and on the thing that lay on the floor beside the bed. The old man had been a bachelor most of his life. When he was 40 years old, he had met her, the girl with the black velvet ribbon. She was beautiful in a strange, mysterious way. Her hair and her deep, bottomless eyes were as black as the velvet ribbon around her neck. He planned to marry her before the next full moon rose in the autumn sky. On their wedding, he watched her walk towards him up the long aisle. She was dressed in a white gown, a white veil, and carried a bouquet of white flowers. Even her face was ivory white. But below it, around the ivory neck, was the black velvet ribbon. He remembered staring at that ribbon as the strains of the wedding march brought his bride nearer to him. He remembered the curious and shocked looks on the faces of the wedding guests. But then his eyes met hers, and he was drowning in their bottomless darkness. He didn't even think of the velvet ribbon during the rest of his wedding day. It was a joyous time and if people thought his wife was a bit strange, they kept that to themselves. That night, when they were alone, he saw that the ribbon was still there, still circling her lovely neck. "Don't you ever take that ribbon from around your neck?" he asked, hoping his question was a needless one. "You'll be sorry if I do," his wife answered, "so I won't." Her answer disturbed him, but he did not question her further. There was plenty of time for her to change her ways. Their life together fell into a pleasant pattern. They were happy, as most newlywed couples are. He found her to be a perfect wife. Well, nearly perfect. Although she had a great number of dresses and wore a different one every day, she never changed the black velvet ribbon. This ribbon began to be the test of their marriage. When he looked at her, his eyes would inevitably fall to her neck. When he kissed her, he could feel the ribbon tightening around his own throat. "Won't you please take that ribbon from around your neck?" he asked her time and time again. "You'll be sorry if I do, so I won't." This was always her answer. At first it teased him, then it began to grate on his nerves. Now it was beginning to infuriate him. "You'll be sorry if I do. You'll be sorry if I do." One day he tried to pull the ribbon off after she had repeated her answer like a mechanical doll. It would not come loose from her neck. He realized then for the first time that the ribbon had no beginning and no end. It circled her neck like a band of steel. He had drawn back from her in disgust that day. Things weren't the same with them after that. At the breakfast table, the black ribbon seemed to mock him as he drank his suddenly bitter coffee. In the afternoon, outside, the ribbon made a funeral out of the sunlight. But it was at night when it bothered him the most. He knew he could live no longer with it. "Either take that ribbon off or I will," he said one night to his wife of only 4 weeks. "You'll be sorry if I do, so I won't." She smiled at him and then fell off to sleep. But he did not sleep. He lay there, staring at the hated ribbon. He had meant what he had said. If she would not take off the ribbon, he would. As she lay sleeping and unsuspecting, he crept out of bed and over to her sewing box. He had seen a small, sharp pair of scissors she kept there. It was thin enough, he knew, to slip between the velvet ribbon and her soft neck. Gripping the scissors in his trembling hands, he walked softly back to the bed. He came up to where she lay and stood over her. Her head was thrown back on the pillow, and her throat with the black velvet ribbon around it rose ever so slightly with her breathing. He bent down, and with one swift movement, he forced the thin blade of the scissors underneath the ribbon. Then, with a quick, triumphant snip, he severed the ribbon that had come between them. The black velvet ribbon fell away from his wife's neck. Her head rolled off the bed and landed on the floor with a thump. She was muttering, "You'll be sorry. You'll be sorry." That was as spine-chilling as I remember. I hope you guys got a kick out of it as well. I know it's just a few days past Halloween, but the spirit of the day, of Halloween night, lingers on. Now, the biggest takeaway with this short story reading was, what if this were documented somehow in a medical record? And the sheer horror of actually being the certified medical coder, coding that very last scene with the diagnosis code of X99.9. And like all the other medical records being reviewed and coded this week, post-Halloween, you know there are so many other accidents being reported by the night schools and goblins finding themselves in the emergency department. Or are they? Like after being poisoned by Eye of Newt and Witch's Brew with diagnosis code T62.8X1A. like hearing the cackles of those same 3 witches and seeing them fly across the room on their barely there brooms with diagnosis code R44.0 and R44.1. Or like the night schools and goblins found with human bites with our diagnosis code Y04.1XXA. And of course, all of these ghastly nocturnal events have occurred in creepy old houses with Y92.89. And finally, keeping to the macabre, let's stick to a quote from one of the best of this genre, Edgar Allen Poe. The death of a beautiful woman is unquestionably the most poetical topic in the world. Okay, you guys, I really hope you enjoyed this fun episode. I had so much fun delivering this episode. So now, last shout out again to my very good friend, Kimberly Jolivet Williams. She's been my guest here several times, and she's simply one of the best educators that I know. Now, she's got an incredible Business of Healthcare Colloquium that's taking place virtually next weekend on November 12th through November 13th. Now, I'm going to be speaking at this event, as well as numerous other industry leaders that I've mentioned in the past and have had here on my podcast as guests as well. Terry Fletcher will be there. Rosemeen Bapat will be there. Jennifer McNamara, Betty Hovey, Christine Hall, and so many other incredible professionals. It's going to be a really good time. So I hope you look down in the show notes and register, and you can also earn a bunch of CEUs during next weekend's event. Now, all right, you guys, please continue staying safe and healthy as well. Thank you so much for listening in on today's special bonus Boo episode with me, where it's true, providers can paint even the darkest masterpieces. See you next Wednesday.